Welcome back everyone. Hi, if you're new, my name is Tori and today I have a pretty big unhaul to share with you. So I think this might be the largest unhaul I've ever done before. I have a little over 30 books to share, at least I think it's 30 the last time I counted, and it's time to get rid of them. I've read a lot of these. I have different stacks of books here that I'm going to share with you, and it's time to make room for some new things, go into the new year with fresh space on the shelves, so I'm really looking forward to that. And this video is also going to be the start of my end of year playlist for 2021, so I'm excited to build on the playlist over the next several weeks and then close out with the best books that I read in 2021. So I have a few stacks here. The first stack I want to share with you are books that I have read but didn't like. I have a stack of books here that I did read, but you know, they've been on my shelves for years and it's just time to free up some shelf space, give these books another home. And then there are some that I have read recently that I did enjoy but just don't feel any kind of attachment to, but I did like those books. I have a stack of literary fiction here, and then I also have a stack of young adult fantasy. And of all the piles, the YA fantasy pile is the one where I have the most unread books that I'm getting rid of, and it's just because it's been a while since, well, not that long, but it's kind of rare now where I actually reach for YA fantasy, and these books have been on my shelves too long now, and I just find my interest in these books just kind of dwindling as time passes, so I'm just gonna pass them on. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on every single book that I'm getting rid of, but yeah, I hope you enjoy and let's get started. So this first stack here are books that I have read and did not enjoy. There are a couple in here that I did read and thought were okay, they were entertaining, but just I have no desire to hang on to these books, so I am going to get rid of them. And then there's one in here that I DNF'd, and then also one that I have tried to get into a couple times and it just didn't work for me. So the first book I'm unhauling is The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and this is the one that I read and I thought it was good, it was entertaining, just, you know, a solid mystery read. Honestly, kind of forgettable all these months later, but you know, I think if you're just looking for something for a cozy weekend that you can just move through in like 5 hours or something, this is definitely the book to curl up with. But I don't feel the need to keep this on my shelf. It was fine. And kind of in the same vein as that is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. Also entertaining, but also not one that I really need to hang on to. Of all the books that I've read by Riley Sager so far, this is definitely my least favorite of his, so I'm gonna split up the Riley Sager collection and just get rid of this one. But I still have Lock Every Door, and I always forget the name of the other book, Home Before Dark. I still have those two on my shelves, but yeah, Survive the Night, I don't feel the need to hang on to this. It was just okay. Another book I thought was okay, kind of anticlimactic, was Verity by Colleen Hoover. And again, this was just, I found this to be an okay read, kind of underwhelming for me in a lot of places. But I think if you're interested in this, it still might be worth it to pick it up, but just didn't work for me the way that I wanted it to. So I am gonna be unhauling this. Now we're gonna get into the books that I just did not enjoy, and the first is The Whisper Man by Alex North. This was so disappointing. This is a thriller, and I just overall didn't get along with this book. I just thought it was kind of dull, and that's about it. Just dull. I'm also unhauling The Chain by Adrienne McKenzie. This is one I'm kind of disappointed in because I was really loving this book in the first half, and then I just really didn't like the direction that the story went in as the book progressed, so I am going to get rid of this too. Then I'm unhauling a newer release, which is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. This is book 1 in a planned trilogy, I believe, and this is one that I was actually enjoying in the beginning of the book. I was really into the world building and into the politics that were happening. I really liked our two primary characters in this, but the book just has a lot of other different characters I just did not really care about, and so I think that just really slowed down the story for me in a lot of places, and just I really lost my interest in this. The next book I'm unhauling is The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. This is a YA science fiction novel, and this is one that I just felt was kind of all over the place, a little convoluted throughout much of the story, and as things just started coming together, I just realized I didn't really care what was going on, so I am gonna unhaul this too. And then in this final stack I have two books that I have DNF'd. The first is The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. This is a more recent DNF for me, and I would like to go back to this one day, maybe listening to the audiobook version, but just as far as reading through it physically, I just found I was not really interested in what was going on with these characters after a certain point and just had to put it down. And then the last book I have in this stack is Wilder Girls by Rory Power, and this is one I don't think I've ever mentioned before, but I've tried to pick this book up a couple of times and just it doesn't do anything for me. So I am going to unhaul this as well. So those are the books that I read and did not enjoy. Now I'm going to move into the books that I have read and actually did like, but just don't feel the need to hold on to them moving into the new year. So the first book in the new stack is Foundation by Isaac Asimov. This is the first in a series, classic science fiction. I'm so happy that I finally got around to reading this year, and I did really enjoy the political intrigue in this story. I enjoy just seeing the Foundation grow and following these different characters throughout the years of the Foundation. So this was a good, just really solid read for me. I just don't feel the need to hang on to this book. And the next book I'm getting rid of is another book in the Foundation series, which is Foundation and Earth. And I've had this book for a while. I think when I purchased this book, I got this like from thrift books, I think. And I think when I got this, I didn't realize that I was purchasing another book in the series and not like Foundation. So I've had this one for a while, and I'm gonna unhaul them both. The next book that I have has been on my shelf for a while, and this is one that I really did like, and that was Midnight at the Electric by Jodi Lynn Anderson. This is a really just heartfelt and cozy historical fiction novel. We're following these 3 different characters in these 3 different time periods, and just seeing how their stories connect as we go through the novel. So I did really enjoy this. I love the time that I spent with this book, but you know, a few years have passed since I read it, and I just don't feel the need to keep it on my shelf. I would love to pass this on to somebody else to experience for the first time. I'm going to talk about these 2 together because these are also 2 that I really enjoyed a few years ago when I read them, but just it's time for them to move on. And the first is We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach, and then the next is Good Morning Midnight by Lily Brooks Dalton. This one is just, I really enjoyed this. This is like a cozy, just like a cozy, soft sort of sci-fi story. And in this one, we're following a group of teenagers as this asteroid is threatening to destroy Earth. And so we're following the teenagers knowing that they're going to die because of this asteroid. So yeah, these are both just really good. I don't know why I associate these 2 together in my mind. I think because I read them around the same time years ago, but yeah, these are both just really good quality reads that I do highly recommend. But again, time for them to be experienced and loved by someone else and free up shelf space for me. And then the next book that I'm gonna get rid of is Trouble the Saints by Alea Dawn Johnson, and this is a book I read earlier in the year and I did enjoy it. This blends a lot of different genres. It has this really kind of like noir, smoky, dark atmosphere of New York City, and we're following these different characters. There's a nice little like fantastical element to this, one that I'm still not sure that I quite understand, but overall I did think this was a solid read and I did enjoy it, but it's time to get rid of it. So now I have some literary fiction and a couple sci-fi books that I'm unhauling. The first should be no surprise. I'm unhauling Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I didn't enjoy this. That's it. The next book I'm unhauling is Atonement by Ian McEwan. I read this years ago and I did enjoy it. I don't remember too much from Atonement, but I remember I did like this. It's just been on my shelf forever. I have no desire to ever return to this. I don't think I've ever recommended this before, so I don't know. I don't need this on my shelf. The next book I'm unhauling is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This is another one that I did enjoy. I just don't feel any, you know, there's no need for me to hang on to this. I haven't read Donna Tartt's novel, The Little Friend, but I've read this and The Secret History, and The Secret History will always have a place on my shelf. That is one of my favorite books, but The Goldfinch is not my favorite book, so I am gonna get rid of this and hopefully one day get around to reading The Little Friend. And next I'm getting rid of 2 novels by H.G. Wells. The first is The Time Machine. It was fine. Don't ever need to read The Time Machine again. And then the next is War of the Worlds. And actually I'm only getting rid of this because the font in this is so small. I mean, I would have to like strain, like hardcore strain in order to read this book. So I might just end up buying another copy of War of the Worlds one day, but I have to get rid of this copy. And next I have 2 books that I've tried to read, but just for the life of me can't get into it, don't really care. The first is The Girls by Emma Cline. I do not vibe with Emma Cline's writing style. Emma Cline's writing style kind of reminds me of Sally Rooney. She just has that like kind of detached sort of cold prose almost, and I don't really like that. And the next book is History of Wolves by Emily Fridland. Zero interest in finishing that. And then finally the last book in this literary fiction stack is Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson, and I read this earlier in the year and I did enjoy this. Caleb Azuma Nelson's writing style is so strong and I cannot wait to see what he writes next, but I just don't feel a need to keep this on my shelves. I thought it was good. I didn't love it, didn't hate it, but I'm excited to see what he does next. So this next pile I am calling Book of the Month picks that I didn't really want but didn't know what else to choose because the selection was bad. So the first book I'm gonna unhaul is Ask Again Yes by Mary Beth Keane. I forgot what all these are about, and I just don't have any desire to go back to them and find that out. The next is Beyond the Point by Claire Gibson. And then the last one is Necessary People by Anna Petoniak. I'm never gonna read these. And then the last pile that I have here are YA fantasy novels, and I'm in the middle of one YA fantasy series right now, and once that's done, realistically I don't see myself picking up a lot of YA fantasy going forward. I'm just gonna go through these really quickly. So the first is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. Next is Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. This one has been on my shelf forever, and I don't even know why. This is The Thousandth Floor by Catherine McGee. Then I have The Never Tilting World by Ren Chupeco, These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and this one is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo, but I'm only getting rid of this because I have 2 copies of this book. Don't ask. So that is it for me, you guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you're going to be getting rid of as we move into 2022, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.